What is this name of the place? Ava
Oh, it's right here.
Rosa Torreva.
Yeah, that's our coffee place. We found it.
It's so
and
pretty.
It's so pretty. We fell in love with it, and we wanted to show you guys because, you know, pretty soon we're going to be leaving Oregon, so we wanted to show you as much as we could before we left.
See, that's not nice though. That's not cute.
So if you come to Oregon, make sure you come here. Make sure you come here because it's really beautiful. They even have a Cinetopia where you could drink wine and watch a movie and on a recliner. Hello.
Fashion.
So, yeah.
Hello! Oh my god, we are so sorry that we've taken so long to do this video, but we're here, we're outside in Oregon, we've got the nature, the ducks, the trees behind us, and today we're so ready to just get this video done. So today's lesson, I'm sorry if it offends anybody, but we really need to talk to our super Christians, our very religious people, because we just really want to know how you guys got it so wrong. You just got it so wrong. Okay, we're not preachers, and I'm pretty sure that you guys do a lot of, of homework for your Sunday sermons, but again, what we've been reading, it just shows that history just repeats itself, and there's just some discrepancies.
And is anyone taking anything out the Bible? Because as far as I see, I have not yet seen a verse that makes sense. Or when you guys try to explain it, it's not getting to the people. I mean, people, non-believers, believers, why?
Yeah, the message is just distorted. And maybe we have the same point in the end of this video, you tell us, but the message is distorted. Very, very. So, we're starting today's lesson. We're going to have a list of scriptures because this is, of course, to our Christians. So, we like scriptures, you know what I mean? So, with that being said...
To the super Christians.
To the super Christians. Well, actually, all Christians, because I like scriptures too. But okay, it's just,
yeah.
I think that it just gets the point across if we can see why history has been repeating itself. We see now through these stories that through the test of time,
telephone
preachers and other religious figures have been just taking their Christianity to a different level and just...
I feel like whatever suits them best.
Right.
Like, I don't know what they're doing, how they're doing it, but it kind of feels like they're manipulating the words to be the leader, to be the person that people look up to. Yeah. And that's not, I don't know, to my opinion, that's not your job. Your job is to get the word out, just like Jesus did humbly.
So where are we coming from? Why are we coming off so aggressive? Well, we're very sorry about that.
But we've been seeing some sugar honey iced tea. I mean, we found out about this Pastor Manning. Oh my God, he's so funny. He's so funny. I gotta give it up to Jessica Williams for the way she did her interview. It was so
That was hilarious.
Good.
That really was hilarious. Starbucks with the semen. You guys have to look it up. We're gonna put the links there because you have to look it up.
It's so funny.
It's a lot of people like that. We got the Westboro Baptist Church, Pastor Manning.
Putting up signs like hate the gays. That's just messed up. Jesus never did that. Please. No, he did not.
It's a little extra. And like I said, history's repeated itself, and so we're gonna talk a little bit about that. So starting with Luke 5:17 through 26. So again, like you saw in our previous videos, we don't tell you, we don't read the story. We're just going to tell you what the story is about because it just takes more time.
And we'll leave the links in the bottom so you can read the story for yourself.
Right. So this story we have here, which touched us as best friends because it was very beautiful. At this time, Jesus is like known as a healer. He's going from city to city. Everybody, knowing his name. They like, yo, that's the homie. And everybody's like trying to bring their sick ones to him so that he can heal them, right? We got a pair of friends here, or I guess 3 friends here, who one of them is sick and on a stretcher. So 2 of the friends are trying to get through the crowd or whatever so they can get Jesus to heal him. However, they can't get through the crowd. They actually go on top of the house where Jesus is, create a little hole.
They dig a hole in the roof. That's real loyalty right there.
That's crazy right there. Then they bring his friend through that hole, right? Through the hole, and right up in front of Jesus on some yo, heal my nigga. Stop playing. Seriously. And of course, so Jesus heals him, but he says to him, he uses the words, your sins are forgiven. Okay. And the Pharisees, which for those of you who don't know who the Pharisees are, they're like the preachers of our time. That's who they were of their time.
The super Christians.
Right. They were supposedly the ones that knew the Bible at the back of their hand, The untouchables, like, shit, I know Jesus.
Right.
Or so they thought. Anyway, so they get offended by that statement. They go to Jesus like, well, who are you to, forgive a man of his sins? You don't hold no weight like that.
As the word blasphemy, I think
Right.
you guys know what that means.
Right. So Jesus is like, okay, so is it just easier for you to believe that I've healed them than for me to say that his sins are forgiven?
It's crazy.
Hey, duck. We got a duck here
Oh.
coming to hang out with us.
Oh, that is so cool.
Can you see him? I don't think so. Hey, man, can you get on the camera real quick? No? All right. All right, we'll forget you too then. I'm gonna walk away.
Hey, Ducky. You're a cool shot right now, I have to say.
If we're getting it.
Yeah, he just came to hang
He
out
might
with us.
be in the video now,
Yeah.
too, because he seems to be creeping closer. We don't know. Anyway, so that was our first story. So our second story is going to be Luke 5:27.
Oh, did you give him the verse?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was
okay.
Luke 5:17 through 26. And then the next story that we have here is going to be Luke 5:1 through 16. Another interesting story. So this story is basically... I'm so sorry. Okay, so this story is basically... there's this pool that is known to heal when the water is disturbed. So around, I guess, every year when the water is disturbed, a lot of people come to the pool and they try to get into it so that they can, have their sickness or whatever cured.
Right.
So there's this guy who has a hard time walking and he can't get into the pool. So Jesus, finds him through the crowd. He finds him there and he says, well, why don't you get in the pool? He says, I've been trying, but every time I, get closer, somebody cuts in front of me and I already have a hard time walking. So Jesus says, well, pick up your mat and walk.
Right. Well, I kind of... Wait. So I saw something that kind of stuck out to me. This man was sick for 38 years. Wait. No. So I thought that was pretty cool. 38 years of being sick.
Yeah.
You got to have a lot of patience to try to go to this well every year and try to get cured. So I'm pretty sure that he appreciated getting healed.
Exactly. And let's be real, because if that was me or you, 38 years, all I had to do was get into a pool. Like, I would have been sitting outside like a week before the water got disturbed. I would have my hand in there, like, you just wait. And as soon as I saw some bubbling,
Kind of like sneakerheads when they be on that line.
Exactly.
Like at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, like that.
I would have been like that about that pool. I'd be like, listen, I've been sick for 38 years. Y'all ain't cutting in front of me. It's not going down. No. So basically, Jesus is like, well, pick up your mat and walk or whatever. So the guy does so. And the Pharisees see this, and they're like, well, why are you carrying your mat on the Sabbath? We left that part out. It was a Sabbath. So he's like, well, homie over there told me to pick up my mat and walk, so I did or whatever. And mind you, at this point, Jesus has just walked back into the crowd. He didn't even tell the guy who he was. He didn't say anything. He didn't even say he was a healer. He didn't say anything other than pick up your mat and walk, really. And then vanished again and off to the distance and left it there. So the Pharisees are looking for him, but he's gone by this point. However, Jesus finds him later and approaches the guy with the mat. And he's like, now that now that I've healed you, try to refrain from continuing your sins because there will be further, what is it? Just continue.
Consequences.
Right, consequences, which are understandable. I mean, come on. And at that point, that's when the guy realizes, okay, that was Jesus.
Right.
There's no other way to explain that. That was
Somebody
straight up
would
Jesus.
tell me that, like a regular person.
Exactly. And so that was another situation. So at this point, the Pharisees Jesus is gaining their attention, and even though it should have been in a positive way, it's starting to show that it's not in a positive way.
Yeah.
And why? Let's be real. It's because, of course, the Pharisees kind of had all the control at this time because they were the ones that practiced, the religion, and they were supposedly the closest to God or whatever. So, of course, they make most of the rules,
Mm-hmm.
And now you have this guy here who's kind of breaking the rules, and he's showing he's above them, and they don't obviously like that.
Right.
Okay, so now we got even pettier stories. So the one with them in the field.
Yep, right there.
So now we got Luke 6, 1 through 5. So Jesus and his peoples are hungry. It's still the Sabbath, I believe.
Yeah, it's still the Sabbath. So they got this thing that the Pharisees got this thing where it's like, you can't do anything on the Sabbath. The
Right.
Sabbath is supposed to be a rest day, a day to relax. It's for humans only, God made this day so we can relax out of our daily lives because that your life is crazy, my life is crazy, her life is crazy.
Exactly.
So he actually gave us this day, which is like on a Saturday, I guess, a Friday
Yeah.
night to a Saturday,
Right.
to just chill. Like, who could ask for more?
Exactly. So, of course, but the Pharisees took that as a day of relaxing to like a day of not breathing.
Yeah.
You don't move.
You don't eat, you don't breathe, you
don't
just
move.
stay where you at. Yeah.
Pretty much. So they, of course, exaggerated and turned it into this bigger thing. So now and his people are walking through this field here
Yeah, of grain.
of grain, and they're picking grains and they're eating them, and the Pharisees see them, and they were already in the cut, just lurking, because at this point they're just looking for a reason to point the finger and attack.
Just like super Christians.
Exactly. And so they see him and they're like, "Why are you harvesting on the Sabbath?" They're not harvesting. They're eating grains. They're just walking through the field eating grains. And of course they turn that into something more because they need, something to pick at.
Right. If you really knew me and you knew the word and you knew of Jehovah, why is it that I'm getting repercussions for this? And mind you, harvesting is kind of a big word. Like, the meaning is basically a lot of process, you know?
There's a whole process to harvesting.
Right. And I'm
Then
just
to picking
picking and eating. That's not harvesting. So.
Exactly. It's very evident that that's not what they were doing, but they chose to say that that's what they were doing in order to point the finger. And back to what she was saying, how they didn't recognize him as the Son of God, and how Jesus actually shows he was offended by that because, like you said, they were practicing the book, and they were supposed to recognize him before anybody else recognized him because of everything that they had already read, and they knew that, what was to come. They knew.
And not only that, on the Sabbath, Jesus is like, so what you're telling me is you rather follow the law than do what's necessary, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, you need to eat, you need to sleep, you need to drink. So the fact that you're telling me not to do these things is super, just like the
super
title.
Pharisee. That's what it was. It was super Pharisee of them.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Exactly. And so they found so many reasons to point the finger. Oh, he was healing on the Sabbath and all this stuff.
He's
and
eating on the Sabbath.
Right. At this point, they start to mock him. The story of him preaching.
Oh,
So in Luke 6 through 11, Jesus is preaching and he's in front of a church and stuff. And at this point, the Pharisees, like I said, are just on the attack. And so they come and they kind of mock him. And they're like, "Oh, so are you going to heal this man, on the Sabbath, to mock him, basically."
Right.
This guy has a crippled hand, and so Jesus is like, "Yeah, I'm going to heal him." So he calls him forward, and he does just that. He heals his hand.
And then he also starts explaining that, like I said, you do what's necessary, what you need to do to help, to help people. Just because it's the Sabbath doesn't mean you can't help. That's
Exactly.
the whole point of this day.
And then he said the thing about the sheep.
Oh, yeah, the thing about the sheep. You can say it.
He said, if your sheep should fall in a hole on the Sabbath, would you leave it there or would you rescue the sheep?
Right.
And at this point, that's how they made their money, that's how they made a living. So he already knew that they would not leave a sheep in the hole on the Sabbath.
Right, because they're doing it for profit. So he's like, you'd rather do something for profit than to do something to help your fellow man.
And so that's where the wrong lies, because even today we have so many people who are pointing fingers and they're just finding a reason to make themselves feel better as Christians and make other people feel bad or feel worse.
Which is not what you're supposed to do. Jesus never did that. To Christians, to people that are not Christians, if you read the stories, he never once did that.
Exactly.
Never.
And that's why we bring up like the Westboro Baptist Church and Pastor Manning, because there's these holier than thou attitudes that they carry that Jesus himself did not carry.
Right.
Okay, so that's what the Pharisees were like back then. So they were always pointing the finger at Jesus, saying, "Why was he sitting with sinners?" And that's something that honestly I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So on
the other side.
In Luke 5:27 through 32, Jesus actually, that's when Matthew, who was a tax collector, I don't know if you knew that, I didn't know that. At the time, tax collectors were considered like the scum, they're the lowest levels, the sinners of sinners, they were the worst.
Right.
And that's what Matthew was. And that's when he had actually asked Matthew to become a disciple. All the disciples actually were sinners.
Yep.
No disciple was holy when he found them. And so the Pharisees were pointing fingers saying, if you're the Son of God, why do you sit with sinners? Why do you eat with sinners? And he said that he came for the sinners. He did not come for the righteous.
Right. He said, when you go to the doctor, do you go there healthy already? Which makes a good point. It's true.
I sure don't.
I don't go to the doctor when I'm healthy. I'm like, I don't need you.
Exactly. So he was in the company of them, even though he didn't partake in the sins that they, partook of. And so that shows basically what Christians should aim to be like today. We point fingers at, homosexuality and thieves, killers, blah, blah, blah.
You want to separate yourself.
Right.
But how do you help other people, do what you do as a Christian if you're separating yourself? That means you're being better than the other person, and that's not right. That's humanly not right.
Exactly. And even though Jesus didn't force himself onto Matthew or any of his other disciples, he didn't force his religion onto them. He just befriended them, and he also gave them that choice.
Right.
They chose to follow him because of how humble he was. He was meek, and he was accepting, and he made it clear he was Jesus. He wasn't going to do what they did, and that is how we should be separating ourselves today. Just because if I hang out with a lesbian doesn't make me a lesbian.
Right.
And I can say, hey, I'm not gay. I'm not forcing you to be straight. Don't force me to be gay.
Right.
We'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And we could just move on that way. And that can separate us right there. Same thing with thieves. Same thing with killers. Same thing with liars. Same thing. You can only try to be the best version of yourself. That's it. And if you see others that are doing their thing, let them be. Their path is their path. You ain't even Jesus. So it's really not your place to force them or point the finger or tell them they're damned to hell. I mean, Westboro Baptist Church, what is the motive? That's what I really want to know. What do you think you're going to gain from putting up a sign saying God hates you? If God hates them, why do you need to let them know?
Yeah.
If they've already chosen to separate themselves from God, and you have made it clear that God has chosen to separate himself from them, what are you wasting your time doing?
And not
What's
only
the
that,
message?
how is that spreading good news?
Exactly.
That's negativity. You spread positivity. That's all Jesus
Exactly.
did.
So if your point is that there is no hope for them, then there's also no point to let them know that there's no hope.
Yeah.
There's no point.
Just
It's
leave
not
them.
getting you
Let
anywhere.
them
You can
be.
leave them alone if that's what you truly believe.
Yeah.
And if your point is to convert them, how does that convert?
No, that makes me want to be a rebel and run away. Like,
Exactly.
I'm going to do it all because you said God hates me anyway, so what's the point?
And this is something that not only extremists do, but regular just Christians do. We're constantly telling others how they're going to go to hell for XYZ. When I was in church, I felt like people were constantly telling me I was going to hell for another reason. My piercing, my hair color, my I don't know, my slang. Everything was going to get you into hell.
Right.
And when you make someone believe that, why would they want to be a Christian?
Why would they want to be your friend?
Right. If it's going to be like that, then I'll be a tax collector. Just bump it.
Yeah.
It's cool. If I'm going down anyway, it doesn't make a difference. But that's not even Jesus's message. He was sitting with the tax collectors. So what does that say about him? And in the end, what does that say about you?
And another thing is, people say all Christians fear God. Excuse me, if someone's telling me to fear someone, I'm like, I'm not gonna fear them. I'm gonna go against them. And that's just an automatically human nature thing. The fear of God is not fearing him like he's gonna damn you to hell. It's fearing him in the way of you have a friend or you have your parent and you don't want to disappoint them. That's
Right.
all the fear is. That's what fear of God means. Not, oh, no, don't fear him in that way. Fear him in like, you my nigga, you my homie, and I don't want to disappoint you. I want to keep you happy because in reality, friends keep each other happy.
Right. And it's a beautiful relationship to have. And so why would you want to tarnish that relationship? So yes, fear God in the sense of respect
Right.
God. The same way you would respect your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your mother, your best friend. You don't want to lose those relationships in your life. So you do things to keep those relationships, like you don't cheat and you don't, talk behind people's backs and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
So same difference. That's how your relationship should be with God. You should try your best to keep a good relationship with God. And that's, I guess, for the people who do believe. And if you don't, that's your own path. And like I said, we are not preachers and we're not trying to convert. We just think that today's day and age, we really need to stay out of each other's business. Okay, if you want to, relay the message, relay the message. But at the end of the day, leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
Just leave it there. People will choose to do what they want to do. And if Jesus himself wasn't forcing you to make a choice, I don't think that we hold any more weight to make a choice for you or to force you to make a choice.
And number one law, no judging. By you pointing a finger, you judging. You just human, just like me. You not supernature, like super powerful or whatever.
Exactly. So for the super Christians and our modern day Pharisees, okay, I need to know your motive. I need to know, what do you really think you're gaining from talking to people the way that you do? And in the end, do you really think that you're better? So, till then, it's just a thought.
Of the opinionated two.
Look at the duckies. This is beautiful Beaverton, Oregon, with all the nature and the things you don't see in New York.
Hello there. Hello there, duckies. How are you? Quack, 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 quack. Yeah.
You have to communicate with them. You have to show them that you're one of them.
I try to quack them. They like, we know you're not a duck. So I'm just like, that's messed up. See, they talking to Lou.
See? We people. All right, girl, I'm going to see you later. Your feathers looking real right, real bright. See? She showed them off. You missed it.